All right, guys, just wanted to show you guys a little homework help or help you guys out with the 5.4 homework packet. So, with this one, I've already kind of filled these notes out, and I'll post these in Schoology as well, just a picture of them. But basically, the main thing that the focus is transformations, okay, and moving like objects around or graphs around, but with the focus being on the equation itself. So this one, what we start with is an equation of a circle. Okay. Now, if you guys remember, if x squared is by itself, that means the center of this circle, because remember this is a circle equation, the x value is zero. Okay, and then y plus 2 means that the y value at that center is negative 2, because remember we switched the signs of these numbers. Okay, and then it says 5 squared, so which it technically is 25. And remember what I told you, in order to find the radius of the circle, you square root that. So it's already kind of set up to show you that the radius is 5. Okay, and then what it tells you is like that the circle is moved and kind of changed in its size. So it's shifted 2 units to the right, 5 units up, and the radius doubled. Okay, so if I focus on one thing at a time, if it goes 2 units left, that means my point zero or my x value at zero is moving left. Okay, so if I was to, again, like let's say I went on Desmos and graph this and actually graph the point zero, negative 2, oops, 0, minus 2, and you can see it right there. And again, it's told me that I have to move 2 units to the left and then 5 units up. So that's right here. So that's where my new center is going to be of the circle, is at negative 2 and 3. So that's why I wrote down negative 2 and 3, is that that's where the new center is going to be. And it said the radius doubled in size. So that means it went from being 5 now to 10. Now, when I rewrite the new equation, instead of just x squared, if it's negative 2, I write x plus 2. And if it's positive 3, I write y minus 3. But if the radius is just 10, then remember when you write the equation, you square that. So it's 10 times 10 for 100 when you write out the equation. So that's the new equation after I've transformed everything. Okay. Now what you're doing here is you're just describing what these graphs are. We went over these in class. Here, if that 3 is positive, that means it's going up. If it's a number that's bigger than 1, it's going to be a more narrow graph. If it's between 0 and 1 or 0 and negative 1, it's going to be more of a wide graph. That's good. And then remember that the vertex in the middle of the U, this point, is this number changes, right? So if that's negative 1, this is positive 1, but that number stays the same when it's outside the parentheses. So that's the vertex. So that's how you describe it. Okay, same thing with this absolute value B. Okay, it's negative, so that means it's facing down. It's a 2, so which means it's going to be more narrow. Because remember, it has to be between basically negative 1 to 0 or 0 to 1 to be a wide one. And then the vertex in the middle is, if that's negative 3, it's positive 3, and then that number doesn't change. Okay, it's positive 4. Okay, so now with the circle equation, okay, another circle equation, it just tells you what it is. It tells you it has a radius of 12 and the center is here. So now you can just create an equation. So again, if it's negative 2, I put x plus 2, positive 13, I put y minus 13, and the radius is 12, so I square that, and I got 144 for the right side of the equation. Okay, and you'll do the same thing here. Now, if you guys remember, we're going to complete the square. This is in standard form, so we're going to change it over to graphing form. So remember, I put the x's together over here, and then the y's together over here. I leave a little space for this number. Sorry, guys. Okay, and then remember to find that number. Oh yeah, first of all, remember I had to subtract this number from both sides and move it over to the right, the negative 57, or 57, so I minused it. And then to find that number right there, remember I take this number divided by 2, so negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and then I square it, do negative 3 times negative 3, and that's how I get 9. And I add that to both sides. I add it here, and I add it here. Okay? And the same thing with the 16 divided by 2, that's 8. 8 squared is 64, and I add that to both sides. Okay, and then you'll add these two numbers up, that goes here. Once you factor these out, okay, just a hint, remember that if that's minus 6, this one's will be half of that, minus 3, and then it's basically half of that for this one, y, and then you add all these up, that goes on the right. Okay, and then lastly, This problem here on the bottom, this is called a rational function, meaning that it's a fraction here. The way these work, and again, you can watch the note or watch the puzzle notes, and Ms. Menard can explain it. But basically, you have to create these asymptotes based on the numbers here in the equation. If this says x minus 3, it's kind of like the same thing before. You have an asymptote at x equals positive 3. And then this number on the outside creates another asymptote at positive 4. And so that one is y equals positive 4. So then for x equals 3, I write a vertical dashed line at x equals 3. And then y equals 4, I do a horizontal dashed line at 4. And then the shape that these graphs create is this little hyperbola that gets, you draw a really close line and curve down. And then you do the same thing on the top right corner. Okay? Now, if it's negative, this actually would flip. This curve would go up here, and this curve would go right down here. Okay, and it's asking what are the transformations? Well, it starts out as this, 1 over x. That's the original parent function, which starts out right smack dab in the middle. So basically, it's asking how far did it go from here to there, the middle of those two asymptotes. And it went up 4 and right through. So that's how I got those. Okay. So basically, your asymptotes will tell you the direction that it went. Okay. If it's positive 3, that means 3 to the right. Positive 4 for y, that's 4 up. Okay. And you'll do the same thing here. On the back page, you got a lot of the same. And you guys are going to cross these out. So make sure you cross out E, F, H, and I. Okay. That's it.